extreme weather phenomenon that is affecting us all. I think the message of the Secretary General just now was reminding us of the fact that in our agenda and in the many things that we are going to be discussing this week, the role and the mission of the IAEA is indispensable. And yes, we are at a time of unprecedented tensions and uncertainties, but of course that should not deviate us and should not make us forget the absolute importance of our work here, because our work cannot be put on hold until these tensions ease, which we always and of course hope will be the case. Let me say that when it comes to the role of the IAEA, it is in all these areas. It is in preventing the erosion of the non-proliferation of nuclear weapons regime that has underpinned peace and security conditions in the world. It is also important to make sure that nuclear safety and security prevail at times of war. It is also trying to ensure that through the efficient application of science and technology through nuclear, we can diminish poverty and difficulties around the world. Let me tell you what we have been doing in this past 12 months and the way ahead. One of the pressing issues that are in all our minds is, of course, the issue of food security and the fact that more than 700 million people go to bed every night hungry. This is, of course, an obscenity, and this is, of course, an effort that the entire UN family and countries as well are trying to address. Through the Atoms for Food project, which we launched together with our friends from FAO, we are trying precisely to bring nuclear technologies through food irradiation, through pest insect, to containment technologies, through soil improvement, crop improvement technologies, some remedy to this global crisis. I invite you to join us tomorrow when we launch the scientific forum this year, where we are precisely going to be concentrating on this issue through the Atoms for Food project. Dear colleagues, we are meeting for 5 days. Let me say something. You know, in these 5 days, or during these 5 days, in the world, according to statistics, 200,000 people will be told they have cancer. And many more, especially in the developing world, will not even be told that because they don't have the means to know it. From those, roughly half are going to die. And they are going to die from cancers that could be perfectly preventable and cured. This is behind our Rays of Hope initiative, which we launched in close coordination with the WHO and which is supporting countries all over the world, in particular low and middle income countries, where in some cases not a single radiotherapy machine exists. So this support that the IAEA is giving is done through equipment, through training, and in some cases even erecting, constructing cancer centers. We need to continue counting on your support for this noble mission. But this is not all. When we look at the environment and when we look at other problems that are being tackled multilaterally, like the microplastic crisis, again, the IAEA, through the NUTEC Plastics project, is at the forefront of efforts that are trying to stem this global phenomenon. We are still remembering the days of the pandemic, with those lockdowns, with those anxieties. It's not so long ago. And at that time, the IAEA launched its biggest campaign of equipment support for more than 130 nations. But even those days, we knew that this was just a temporary remedy to something that needed more. And this is why we launched Zodiac, the Zoonotic Disease Integrated Action Program, which is now working in more than 100 countries. We have equipped veterinary laboratories all over the world. And you know, these laboratories right now are working on Mpox. So this action, this preventive action through us to be ahead of the game on health crisis, of course, within the One Health platform in the United Nations. All of these issues are crucial. But of course, one of the most important matters that we are dealing with is the energy crisis, compounded with the climate change problems that we have. And the IAEA has been displaying also its support on the role that nuclear energy as a clean source of energy can play. As you know, when we look at statistics, roughly a quarter of the clean energy which is being produced right now in the world is of nuclear origin. And we come a long, long way from not being recognized in international conferences or even rejected to what happened in the global stocktake in Dubai just a few months ago in the COP28, where there was a global consensus, I repeat, from all members present there to say that nuclear energy should be accelerated. We will be working with Azerbaijan for COP29, where we expect to be continuing in this very important effort. Nuclear energy continues, and it's not only in the traditional way, it is also through the important contribution of new nuclear manifestations like small modular reactors. In a few weeks, the first international conference on SMRs, on small modular reactors, will take place here in this very room. And we will be able to gauge the state of the art in this technology. Who is doing what? How can we, and especially developing countries also, can benefit from this important instrument to give our energy mixes an important additional instrument to produce energy without harming the environment. And this is very important. Of course, there are ways for the future as well. And fusion, with its promise of energy, clean energy in a very efficient way, has always been considered one of the most promising scientific areas. And we have launched the World Fusion Energy Group, which is going to be meeting in Rome in November this year to bring the conversation forward. As you can see, dear friends, all these applications are active and present when it comes to providing a better future for all. But of course, there are the challenges. And when we think about the challenges with war going on in Europe and with the possibility of a nuclear accident always present, the IAEA has been present at the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. Already 23 rotations of IAEA experts are there contributing, working, informing the international community of what is going on. And yes, I have visited Kursk just a few days ago, where the situation is serious, saying and coming from the assumption that a nuclear power plant, a peaceful nuclear power plant, should never be attacked under any circumstances, irrespective of the place where these nuclear power plants are situated. And we will continue in this effort. Of course, when it comes to, and we mentioned that, the nuclear non-proliferation regime, which is so important, we need to continue our effort. I salute the possibility and look forward to engaging with the new president of Iran and with the government of Iran in continuing in our indispensable efforts to give the credible assurances to the international community that that nuclear program is in peaceful ways, and it will continue so. There are challenges ahead, but they are not unsurmountable. And I reiterate here and now my disposition to continue our efforts. just as we do in Syria, where for the first time in more than a decade, we are now moving forward in trying to bring clarity to some of the issues that were the source of important concerns in the past. So as you can see, dear friends, in all of these points, the IAEA is showing its active contribution in or to the world agenda. Dear friends, nothing in this area or nothing in these areas is done automatically. It all needs the workforce, the women and the men that are doing this science for all of us. And when it comes to that, young generations and of course women are essential. Through the Marie Skłodowska-Curie Fellowship Program, we have opened possibilities for hundreds of women that heretofore did not have the possibility, the means, the money to continue with their careers. We need to continue in this effort because in the next few years, and according to the evolution of the nuclear energy equation, as I described it, a few million technicians and engineers are going to be needed. And of course, women will have to be there. And we have opened doors to them through this program and through the Lise Meitner program, which is also addressing mid-career women in the area of nuclear. Because it is not true that in these areas the male dominance will prevail forever. All of us are needed. And the example, of course, is my own secretariat, where from a meager 28% of women in the professional categories when I started in this position, now we are at 48.5, and we are going to get to 50% very soon. So nothing is impossible when we work together and with a sense of real commitment. So as you can see, dear colleagues, from the front lines of war to the radiotherapy units, to the food and the protection of the environment, in all of these areas, this agency is and will continue to be at your service for the noble mission of keeping atoms for peace and development. Thank you very much.
I would like to thank the Director General for his statement. He not only dealt with specific agenda items for this session, but also provided us with an interesting overview of the main issues and challenges ahead for the agency. I'm sure that his views will receive careful consideration by member states. Distinguished delegates, let us now take up item 6. With your permission, I should now like to say a few words about contributions to Technical Cooperation Fund. The Board of Governors in June 2024 recommended a figure of 98 million euros as the target for voluntary contributions to the Technical Cooperation Fund for the year 2025. Document GC 68/16 before you has attached to it a table showing the contributions each member state would need to make in order to meet its share of the target. The early pledging and payment of contributions to the Technical Cooperation Fund greatly helped the Secretariat in planning the agency's technical cooperation program. And I would therefore urge all delegations that are in a position to do so and have not done so as yet to notify the Secretariat during the current session of the conference that their governments will be making to the Technical Cooperation Fund for 2025. I am pleased to note that 33 member states have already made their pledges to the Technical Cooperation Fund for 2025. At the end of our session, under a later agenda item, I will report on the contributions which have been pledged up to that time, and I hope that I will be in a position to report favorably on the percentage of the 2025 target figure already pledged. Pledges can be made during meetings at the table to my right, marked financial contributions. Between meetings, you can be made in room number MOE67 on the ground floor of this building, where delegates can also make inquiries concerning their regular budget contributions. Distinguished delegates, let us now turn to item 7, General Debate and the Annual Report for 2023. Before giving the floor to the first speaker on my list, I would like to make a few comments and suggestions regarding the conduct of the general debate, which is expected to continue during the next few days. Member states were provided the option of submitting pre-recorded video statements to be delivered in the general debate. Member states are requested as well to limit their respective statements delivered in the general debate to 7 minutes. No longer statements may, however, be posted on the General Conference web page. I appeal to all of you to adhere to this time limit, 7 minutes, in view of the general streamlining of the conference. In this connection, I would also appeal for your cooperation in allowing me to start our meetings punctually and ask you to be available to deliver your statements when called upon to do so. Delays in starting our meetings will reduce the number of speakers we can accommodate in each session. Lastly, I appeal for your understanding and cooperation in the arrangement of the daily speakers list and the order of speakers. The list was opened in June. However, adjustment may be required in order to meet contingencies. I am confident that the Secretariat will do its best to cope with conflicting demands. I take it that the conference is in agreement with the suggestions which I have made with regard to the handling of the speakers list for the general debate. It is therefore so agreed, and I thank you for your cooperation. Now, I have great pleasure in inviting the first speaker in the general debate, the distinguished delegate of Islamic Republic of Iran, His Excellency Mr. Mohammad Eslami, Vice President and Head of the Atomic Energy Organization, to take the floor.
سلام علیکم. جناب آقای رئیس، جناب آقای مدیر کل، عالی جنابان، خانم ها و آقایان، در ابتدا انتخاب جناب عالی را به ریاست این گرد همایی با اهمیت تبریک عرض می‌نمایم. همچنین آمادگی دولت جدید جمهوری اسلامی ایران و رئیس جمهور گرانقدر جناب آقای دکتر پزشکیان را برای گسترش تعاملات سازنده و توسعه همکاری‌های مشترک بین‌المللی اعلام می‌نمایم. همکاران گرامی، در زمان حاضر دنیا با چالش‌های جدی و نگران کننده از جمله جنایات رژیم صهیونیستی در فلسطین مواجه است. این رژیم در جنگ غزه بیش از 41,000 نفر را به خاک و خون کشیده است که اغلب آنان زنان و کودکان بیگناه هستند و بیش از 100,000 نفر
thousand others. The Israeli regime continues its crimes and genocide shamelessly under the protection of the United States and certain countries. We cannot ignore the ongoing genocide of innocent people whose lands have been occupied for more than 7 decades in flagrant violation of various UN resolutions with the full support of some countries. The UN apparatus is being continuously challenged due to the inaction in this regard by the relevant authorities responsible for maintaining peace and security. In this respect, the self-proclaimed representatives of the international community must be held accountable. The Israeli regime, through assassinating Iranian scientists, various acts of sabotage, and terrorist operations, leads put its nuclear activities and facilities under the agency's safeguards poses a threat to international peace and security.
در این بخش از سخنان
Distinguished colleagues, global changes require global solutions. To this end, it is essential to transfer modern technology and equipment without discrimination, especially to the developing countries. In this direction, the use of clean energy, in particular, nuclear energy as a reliable baseload power source, plays a significant role. In this regard, the International Atomic Energy Agency, in accordance with its statute, is obligated to act as a facilitator as well as supporter for the access of all member states to the needed technology and equipment without any discrimination. The Islamic Republic of Iran, for its part, is determined to increase the share of nuclear power in its energy portfolio to 20,000 megawatts by 2040, in line with its comprehensive strategic document for the development of nuclear industry for a 20-year horizon. Dear colleagues, I would like to take this opportunity to inform you, distinguished colleagues, that this year coincides with the 50th anniversary of the establishment of the Atomic Energy Organization of Iran, and for this purpose, the 30th National Nuclear Conference of Iran and the first International Nuclear Technology Conference was held in May 2024 in Isfahan, with the participation of His Excellency Rafael Grossi, the Director General of the agency, and his accompanying delegation. The participants of this event from different countries of the world witnessed the progress of the Islamic Republic of Iran in various fields of peaceful nuclear achievements. And these achievements have been the country has been subjected to the most severe sanctions. I am honored to announce that some of these achievements are being presented in the side event. Ladies and gentlemen, the cooperation of the Islamic Republic of Iran with the IAEA continues in an honest and extensive manner. The number of the agency's designated inspectors in Iran is incomparable to any other member states. More than 1/5 of all inspections carried out by the agency across the world in 2023 took place in Iran, while Iran's nuclear facilities constitute only 3% of the total number of nuclear facilities worldwide. This indicates our good faith. The inherent and sovereign right of the Islamic Republic of Iran regarding the designation of the agency inspectors has been exercised under the comprehensive safeguard. Entitled to accept, we should not allow these to set an unjustified precedents which will create trouble for all the countries. Therefore, the important point here is about the JCPOA. I would like to reiterate that Iran's JCPOA-related voluntary measures should not be turn to an obligation under pressure. The JCPOA is an agreement with other parties, fulfilling commitments and implementing commitments were aimed to lift and remove the sanctions. Return to commitments by the parties is one of the main obligations for implementing this document. The Islamic Republic of Iran is always ready to resolve the issues and has been pioneer in resolving and settling the issues. And at the present time, especially under the present circumstances where the world is facing various crises, we expect that the agency, in accordance with this statute, tries to reduce tension and increase cooperation in order to improve the quality of life of all people across the world in accordance with this statute. It is expected that all the member states act with utmost responsibility and in good faith. And for this, we are ready to achieve this precious goal. I thank you all, and I wish you all success. Thank you.
I thank the Vice President and Head of the Atomic Energy Organization of Islamic Republic of Iran for his statement. I now invite the distinguished delegate of Kenya, Prime Cabinet Secretary and Cabinet Secretary for Foreign and Diaspora Affairs, His Excellency Mr. Musala Mudavadi, to take the floor.
Mr. President, Sangmukham, Rafael Mariano Grossi, IEA Director General, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. It is with a great honor that I deliver this statement on behalf of the Kenyan delegation. But before I go deeper into it, may I also extend our empathy to the people of Austria and indeed the region for the disruptive effects of the adverse weather conditions. Mr. President, I congratulate you on your election to the presidency of this 68th regular session of the International Atomic Agency General Conference. Allow me also to extend my congratulations to the other Bureau members on their election. We have all full confidence in your leadership to steward the work of this session. I assure you of my delegation's full support and constructive engagement. The 2024 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals report paints a concerning picture with only 6 years remaining. The current pace of progress falls significantly short in achieving the intended targets. The lasting effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, rising conflicts, geopolitical tensions, and worsening climate crisis have significantly impeded progress. Without sustainable investment and scaled-up efforts, the implementation of these goals will remain out of reach. Mr. President, given the immense potential of nuclear technology and its application to support sustainable development, this is a call to us and the agency to scale up action in order to play our part towards the collective action required to realize the goal of more resilient and prosperous world and ensure no one is left behind. Kenya remains committed to support the agency's statutory objectives of promoting access to peaceful applications of nuclear science and technology for sustainable development, as well as enhancing nuclear safety and security and strengthening nuclear verification and non-proliferation efforts globally. The IAEA has been pivotal in enhancing our capabilities in leveraging nuclear science and technology for sustainable development with a view to enhancing the country's energy security, independence, while mitigating climate change, as well as improving access to cancer care, agricultural productivity, water and environmental management in line with the country's Vision 2030 and bottom-up transformation agenda. In line with the international best practice, Kenya is following the agency's guideline in implementation of the nuclear power program. Currently, Kenya is in phase 2, with construction of a nuclear plant set to commence in 2027, and it is expected that the nuclear power plant will be connected to the electric grid in 2034. My delegation appreciates the agency's continued support in capacity building and expert reviews of the country's nuclear infrastructure as Kenya endeavors to introduce nuclear power in its energy mix. Kenya hosted the installment of the US Africa Nuclear Energy Summit in Nairobi from 27 to 30th August 2024. The summit underscored opportunities to reach net zero by 2050 and highlighted the significance of nuclear power for socio-economic development in the continent. My delegation welcomes the progress in the implementation of the Rays of Hope initiative to increase access to affordable and sustainable radiotherapy services. The government of Kenya has made significant strides in the health sector, particularly in the fight against cancer. With the support of the agency, we have established 2 major centers, cancer centers in Nakuru and Mombasa. Mr. President, in February 2024, Kenya expressed its political commitment to the Code of Conduct on the Safety and Security of Radioactive Sources and its 2 guidance documents, the Guidance on Import and Export of Radioactive Resources and the Code Guidance in the Management of Disused Radioactive Sources. This is a testament of Kenya's commitment towards strengthening its regulatory framework for nuclear safety and security. Mr. President, the government of Kenya appreciates the collaboration with the IAEA over the years that has shaped the establishment of non-destructive testing dosimetry laboratories. Through the agency's support, the dosimetry laboratory has been established to support both the industrial and healthcare sector by providing traceability to the international system of units through calibration services. The Kenya Bureau of Standards, through the Kenya Bureau for non-destructive testing to serve the broader African region, Kenya looks forward to collaboration with the agency in the establishment of local schemes for personnel training, qualification, and certification to ensure presence of competent human resource bases in this sector. Mr. President, Kenya is also pursuing the establishment of a nuclear research reactor to enhance our ability to undertake scientific research in nuclear energy technology. In the area of environmental protection and water resource management, the IAEA's support has been invaluable. The provision of equipment and training has enhanced our capabilities in groundwater assessment management, making our objective of our population more achievable. Kenya has identified the blue economy as the next frontier for socioeconomic development. In this regard, Kenya supports the work undertaken by the Agency in Environmental Protection, in particular New Tech Plastics Initiative, and appreciates the support received to put in place a pollution monitoring program covering major contaminants. Mr. President, Kenya continues to support the work of the agency in the field of food and agriculture, in promoting climate-smart agriculture, combating outbreaks of transboundary zoonotic and animal diseases. We welcome the launch and implementation of the Atoms for Food initiative and look forward to the agency's continued support in availing the much-needed transformational solutions in averting the growing food crisis. We urge the agency to continue its efforts in sourcing funds for traditional and non-traditional partners to support the implementation of this initiative. Kenya also stands ready to share its expertise and institutions to continue partnering with the agency, including in hosting fellows from our region. We are pleased to know that Kenya Nuclear Regulatory Authority has been designated as a regional designated center for education and training in radiation protection. In conclusion, Kenya reaffirms its commitment to the peaceful use of nuclear technology and looks forward to continued collaboration with the IAEA and member states. Together, we can harness the power of nuclear science to drive sustainable development and improve the quality of life for all. I wish this 68th regular session of the General Conference fruitful deliberations. Thank you.
I thank the distinguished delegate of Kenya for his statement. I now invite the distinguished delegate of Russian Federation, Mr. Alexei Likachev, Director General of Rosatom, to take the floor.